Hey, good morning. This is Pippa and welcome to Health Strip There. Recently, I've had a few questions around supplements. Today, I'm going to talk about a topic that's a little bit near and dear to my heart. It's around supplementation. Now, this is not to say this is what you should be doing. As requested, I'm just going to talk about what seems to be working for me and, more importantly, why I'm taking these things. So a little bit of background. When I chat with my patients, whether it's about traditional pharmaceutical medicines, natural health medicines, everything in between and around abouts, I often get the comment and question around, well, I'd really prefer to take something natural, or I'd prefer to take a supplement rather than a drug. The response I often have, what do you think the difference is between those two things? When I put that back on the patient, they will often stop and think, perhaps even sometimes for the first time, well, what actually is the difference? Now, if we go back to the olden days and our roots, pretty much all medicine that humans have used to either promote health or cure any kind of illness are natural plant-based or animal-based products. Fast forward to modern society, and what most people think are natural supplements are much, much closer to pharmaceuticals than most people would probably care to believe. And I guess the bottom line is, in my professional opinion, and this is how I do things myself, I treat them all with exactly the same level of consideration and respect. The reason is that a medicine is anything you take. Now, that might be taking orally, rubbing on your skin, popping in your eyes, inhaling through a puffer, under the tongue, injections, the works. Whether you get it prescribed, regardless of what schedule it is, and regardless of whether it's considered a registered, listed, natural, pharmaceutical, whatever terms we want to be using, most things that people are putting in their bodies nowadays are coming in a jar or a bottle of some sort, and they are a manufactured product. Secondly, when we take something to have an effect on our health, if it has no side effect, and a side effect, of course, as you would know, is the effect that was not the primary intended purpose of using that medicine or supplement. In my opinion, it's highly unlikely to be a particularly powerful medicine. Almost every high-powered medicine that I know, and not all of them, as you'll come to understand, but a lot of them, hard-working medicines of modern society, whether they be prescription or otherwise, all have potential to do harm. It is two sides of the same coin. You cannot have something that you are taking to make a physiological change in your body that only does that very one thing that you're intending. It pretty much doesn't happen. Today, I wanted to share with you my current medicines usage and a little bit of information about why. It's going to be a bit of an overview. So the first thing I'm going to share with you is a reasonably new one that I've added onto my regime. It is actually hydration salts. Now, you can get them in all different varieties. A lot of people know the oral hydration salts that come in tablets or powders that we add into water to feed to our children when they have vomiting and diarrhea bugs to prevent having to go into hospital and get them on intravenous fluids. They are, in medical terms, one of the breakthrough lifesaver medicines of all time. But that's not why I'm taking it on a regular basis. I've always had it in my home, both for my own use, hangovers, big sporting events, but more recently, I'm taking it more as an additional supplement. Now, we had a bit of a fear-mongering amongst us for many years now, actually, regarding the negative impacts of salt on our health. Now, whilst having too much salt in your diet, like too much of anything, is not good for you, the source of where you're getting the salts from, i.e. what you're having the salt, is it fish and chips or is it some sashimi dipped in soy sauce? They are not the same thing, people. And as a consequence, even without doing physical huffy puffy exercise, a lot of us will be perspiring on a day-to-day basis pretty regularly. Now, I spend a little bit of time free diving and in the water, so you don't actually notice that you're perspiring when you're in the water. This is where the hydration salts come in. They help to balance and prevent cramping, helping me to reduce the horrific night cramps that I have had on and off over many years. Got something else for that too, so stick with me. And I just generally feel like I've got a bit more of a pep in my step. A lot of people would use things like Gatorade and Powerade for this purpose. Using hydration salts that you just pop a little bit into water. Now, the concentration that you mix them up at when you're using them for this purpose is not as critical as when you're using them to prevent dehydration. When you're using oral rehydration salt to prevent usually your small children or sometimes elderly parents from ending up in the hospital on a drip because of a terrible bout of gastro or something similar, you must mix it as directed because the absorption, the speed of which, the location of which does depend on that. Now, when we're using them just for supplemental purposes to add them back into the system, it really doesn't matter. So what I tend to do is add a little scoopy scoop, a very small amount, into my drink bottle, give it a shake, makes my water slightly more interesting. I drink a lot of water. It gets a bit dull after a while. And I've really noticed the difference in how I feel and a major reduction in the cramping when I go diving in my little veggies and pixies. So that one's pretty reasonable. Now I buy it in a bulk powder form. Was getting a bit exy when I was buying the tablets that are designed for dehydration. Okay, rehydration salts. Number one. Okay, number two, and I'm going to talk about this in combination because I did mention cramps recently. These little bad boys, I get these compounded. One of my colleagues, you actually have them at the dispensary. It is magnesium glycinate. Now, all magnesium is not created equal. For me, magnesium is important for a lot of the same reasons why I use the rehydration salts. I've been using magnesium a lot longer. I take down about 2 of these capsules, 500 milligrams in each at night. If I'm feeling a bit depleted, I might do 2 in the morning as well, sometimes 1. But generally the 2 at night is what I stick to when I'm trying to boost up if I'm going on a dive trip or I know I'm going to be spending a lot of time playing out in the sun, on the ski, on the ocean, etc. Maybe do some hiking. I might up the ante to 2 morning and 2 night. That's 2 grams of magnesium glycinate a day. For those of you who are counting the numbers, your gastrointestinal tract has a great degree of absorption, and it's one of the 2 salts of magnesium that actually crosses the blood-brain barrier. That is the reason why I take it at night. I am hopeful that the evidence around this assisting with relaxation and promoting sleep is actually benefiting in my nighttime routine. Okay, the third one that I take on a pretty regular basis is another sort of food supplement, I guess you'd call. And it's my friend, that. So creatine's a really fun and interesting one. I have been using creatine for maybe about a year. And before that, I did use it a little bit on and off. Historically, we were told it was a bit of a gym bro supplement. And we were told to use it after a loading dose to add the creatine into our diet. Starting with like 15, 20 grams for the first week to increase the dose. Now, like the way that we use loading doses in a lot of other areas of medicine, that's gone out of favor. And in exchange, it's not thought to make too much of a difference. And it's actually nicer for your gut if you start just nice and low and slow. Same rules apply to most medicines in most people. If it's not urgent, there's often no urgency to get yourself way up to that starting dose straight off the bat. And if you do, you risk upsetting your tummy. So again, I buy this one in bulk. It's super cheap. I weigh it and I get a measure that's going to be the right weight just to save me time each day. this little tablespoon here, or you can see it, is about 5 grams of creatine. You need 3 to 5 grams a day to improve your muscles. Now, does it make you put on weight? Well, yeah, it probably can. But that weight is actually extra water in the muscles. It's not damaging in any way, and it can actually help to improve the health of your muscles. But in all honesty, that's not the main reason why I take it. The main reason why I take it is that there's increasing evidence lowers the aging of the muscles, but more importantly, at a little bit higher doses, so we're talking about 10 grams a day here, maybe up to 15, it can help improve cognitive function. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I am in the midst of this perimenopause craziness, and I kid you not, the first thing that really kind of rang true for me in terms of symptoms, and this is having been trained as a health professional and actually discussing menopause and being quite open-minded about menopausal hormonal therapy, or HRT as they used to call it, for many years, I honestly did not understand how debilitating the brain fog can be. I actually spent probably a month or two getting quite concerned that maybe I was going to develop a presenile dementia, which unfortunately does run in my family. And frankly, I was quite terrified. Now, as someone that uses her brain to make money and to feed my family, this was a huge issue for me. So I went down a whole heap of rabbit warrens, and that's where I came to using creatine. I use the higher dose. I use about 10 grams a day. And honestly, for your muscle, bone, and cognitive health, as a female particularly, but for everyone, I think it's a great idea. I've actually got my kids taking it now as part of their sports training, but at the lower dose at this point. Very safe. So is there a natural way to get these 3 things that we've talked about already? The salts, so we're talking potassium, sodium, magnesium, and creatine. Yes, absolutely we can. We can add them from our diet. I actually do add intentional salt. I use a Celtic sea salt just because it's delicious, or a truffle salt sometimes if I've got my hands on something that I brought back from somewhere. Yes, it helps. Magnesium is in fruits and vegetables, and we should be doing that. Creatine, the best source of creatine is meat protein. And yes, I do really enjoy eating meat protein, and I recommend that unless you have a strict dietary aversion for whatever ethical or religious reasons, that it's definitely something that you consider. So in short, if you ever get the opportunity to get these things from your diet, I do strongly recommend that you do try doing that. All right. And third one, again, is a vitamin. So this one I'm going to cover up my branding is niacinamide. So niacinamide is also known as vitamin B3. So niacinamide, nicotinamide, all the same thing, just semantics. Different parts of the world, we do call drugs, supplements, and vitamins by different names, and it's okay. That's just how it is. Now, vitamin B3 has become a bit of a buzzword in the cosmetics industry of late. I actually do, in addition to taking an oral supplement, I do use it on my skin as well. It has reasonable evidence if you take enough. Now, is a little bit of B vitamins good for you? Yeah, of course. No problem there. And you're going to be getting it in your food. A lot of people take like a multi-B, which has got a little dribs and drabs of all the different B vitamins and usually other random stuff in there. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of combination products, except when we know that's exactly what combination we are specifically wanting for this person. And the reason is you often end up with doubling up of active ingredients. So if you're taking this supplement and then 3 other things, I will regularly encounter when I start turning over and looking at the back and jotting down what's in what, that people actually end up with of different supplements. So best, so water-soluble vitamins, at best you're probably just peeing them out and you're making very expensive urine. At worst, and this is more important with certain minerals and fat-soluble vitamins, you can actually become toxic. Please don't do that. So if you're not sure, ask a professional for help. Speak to a pharmacist or naturopath. They should be able to work these things out for you. So why do I use niacinamide? So I take 1 gram every day, and it's a 1 gram sustained release. Now, niacinamide got a bit of a dirty name because it would cause quite a bit of flushing in immediate release preparations. It is interesting because one of the primary uses of this sort of medicine is in treating conditions such as rosacea, which is a reddening of the face and skin. It's also really good for helping with managing the hydration barrier of the skin, anti-aging, hyperpigmentation. But the reason why I'm taking it is for photoprotection and skin cancer prevention. So unfortunately, even at my youthful age, I have had several skin cancerous lesions removed from my face. And I think if you were to ask around most adults over sort of, 40, 50, 60, certainly in the region where I live, it's a really common thing to happen. Now, some people will say to me, well, just don't go in the sun. I strongly disagree with the statement, don't go in the sun. I'm not suggesting you go out and get sunburnt. However, sun on the skin and sun into the eyes at different times of day, not mad dog zilling sugar midday sun we're talking about, please, is extremely beneficial for synthesizing vitamin D, for improving your mental well-being, and if we're talking about earlier in the day, then improving your circadian rhythms. So please don't hide from the sun. Don't get deficient in vitamin D and totally screw up your circadian rhythm because your eyes are seeing this indoor bright light, which is so dull compared to even outdoors today where it's raining. It's been raining for about 2 weeks here. Even outdoors on a really rainy, grey day, out there is way brighter in lumens than in here. Not what I'm perceiving. That's the reality. Put an app on your phone and have a look for yourself. Anyway, so there have been quite a few studies on the evidence for nicotinamide in preventing skin cancer. So what it can do is it enhances the DNA repair and reduces the UV light-related immunosuppressant within the skin. Now, taking 500 milligrams twice a day, or what I do because I'm lazy, 1 gram sustained release once a day, has actually been shown to significantly reduce the rate of new actinic keratosis and non-melanoma skin cancers. So these are basal and squamous cell carcinomas by about 25%. That's a decent reduction. Now, keeping in mind, melanoma skin cancers aren't overly linked to sun exposure, but non-melanoma skin cancers absolutely are. Also, they're linked with the photoaging and all those things that none of us really want if we want to try and, look beautiful forever. It can also help in certain dermatological conditions, which I don't have myself, types of psoriasis and bullous pemphigoid and different blistering diseases. So I'd strongly recommend giving it a red hooker. Now, that is normally at a little bit higher doses. So we're talking about 1.5 to 2 grams a day. Watch out for flushing. Use a sustained release if you're going to be going in high doses. And if you're wanting to put it on top as well, like on your patchy skin, on your face, on your hands, use it a lot for healing. When we have these skin lesions cut out, it's very good at helping to heal. So that's niacinamide B3. Next one I've got is the good old superficial. Now, the things I want you to pay attention to here is the EPA and the DHA in the fish oil. I cannot tell you how many times I've been in someone's home for a med review or they've come to speak with me in clinic. Yeah, I'm taking fish oil. How much fish oil are you taking? I don't know. Okay, 1 a day. Something like that is the answer. 1 a day could be anything. It's like saying, oh my God, I don't even know what it's like saying. It's like saying, I ate some grapes. Okay, now some grapes could be 2 grapes, 3 grapes, could be the whole friggin' kilo. Fish oil can be a bit like that too. sadly, there is not really any good quality evidence that just taking a little bit of fish oil for your general health, cardiovascular health, joint health, and so other health-related reason is super beneficial. However, if we are taking decent doses, and in the case of what I'm doing, this is 360 EPA and 240 DHA per capsule. I take 2. So what we're talking about here is the 1,200 milligrams of not fish oil, EPA and DHA. The total amount of fish oil is significantly more than that. If you don't want to do this, that's fine. Eat fish 3 times a week. I wish I ate fish 3 times a week. I try and eat fish at least once a week. I usually make it to twice. If I was managing to eat fish maybe 4 times a week, I probably wouldn't be taking this supplement. But right now I don't. So this is what I do. And the reason I'm taking that high dose is that's where the evidence is for not only cardiovascular health, particularly in reducing triglycerides, which is a type of cholesterol or blood fat, and offsetting a little bit the increased meat intake that I'm having, which has put my cholesterol up. But it's dealt with my joint health, and I do really think it's helping. I do plan on, as Dr. Peter Attia says, competing in the centenarian decathlon. And babe, I'm going to win. So watch out. This is going to help me get there, help me to be able to function, train, do the mobility work I need to do in the context of a busy family life as a parent, as a wife, as a business owner, as a consultant, all those things. Okay. And getting out and performing and doing stupid shit still to this day. So of my omega-3s, if you're going to do it, do it. If you're only to take one random thing, particularly if you turn over your supplement at home and it does not tell you what the DHA and the EPA is, don't buy that again, please. Just don't. The last regular one, so it's, oh my God, it sounds like a lot. It's really not, I promise. Vitamin D3. D3. All right, D3. D3 and K2 gets a bit of press at the moment. Is it useful? Yes. Do you need it if you don't have any vitamin K in your diet? Yes, probably. Do I have plenty of vitamin K in my diet? I'm pretty sure I do. I don't even worry about that. But when I look at the evidence, most of my sun exposure at the moment on a weekly basis, if it's a working heavy week, I'm out getting my early morning light exposure between about 6 and 7:30, say, going for a walk with the puppy, doing a little bit of mobility work or maybe some exercise outside, hanging out with the kids, having a coffee in a spa, insert other reason. Okay. Now, I am blessed to live in an environment where I am quite able to get my arms out, my chest out, my face out, etc. into this line. However, this early day light exposure at the low solar angle blocks a bit of the UV stimulation, which leads to vitamin D synthesis. So even with someone like me spending about an hour and a half outside every day, albeit early, it's not necessarily enough. Now, conversely, if I'm able to get outside with my arms and legs into the sunshine for 5 to 10 minutes between 10 and 2 in where I live right now, most of the year, that's probably plenty. So I guess the question you're saying was, why do I have a vitamin D supplement in my cupboard? It's a bit of an insurance policy, to be fair. I do get some concerns about not getting enough skin exposure. Sometimes at the end of the week, I think, oh, I've done all this stuff. I'm so active. And then you look at your tracker and you've walked 2,500 steps. Sad but true. I do it as well. I get it. Might be a day when I don't get to take the puppy out for a walk. Honestly, some days, all I get time to do is get up, sort out the kids, the family, whatever, and I've got to be off for an early meeting somewhere. That's life. Some days, all I do is sit, read, and talk. That's it. And on those days, of course, I'm not getting enough vitamin D. I'm also not peaking exercise and other things, but that's another story for another day. How often do I use this? Probably once a week. I use the high potency. I take one once a week. With vitamin D, you don't need to take it orally super often. There was some data many years ago in hyperdosing of vitamin E in elderly patients in nursing homes. There was some increased risk of falls and fractures in the super, super, super high dose group. Now, the super, super high dose group were taking, this is 5,000 international units, or standard supplements about 1,000 international units of vitamin D. This one is 5,000 international units. What they were giving these elderly people, and these elderly people were also not getting any sun exposure or exercise or any of those things. So hugely confounded study. Nonetheless, it was shown to be potentially harmful, at doses above what you would give for a 6 month in a single dose. Now, they were also giving that as an injection. So there's a few issues here. The evidence at the moment suggests that anything up to 20,000 units a week is pretty safe and nothing to be too concerned about. So there's on my list of supplements. In addition, I have a good selection of fibers and proteins and things like that I do add into my smoothies and foods from time to time. I'll do another session on super easy ways to meet your nutritional requirements, and we'll go from there. Thanks for joining me today, and please, if you have any questions, let me know. See ya.